through Viego is the other one that I'm kind of looking at, but if I'm IG, I think I'm eyeing up the Diana, because like if you have Shun's Diana plus you end up with like the opportunity to open up maybe Vectum for Zika in the top lane or some sort of AD mid laner for Yuekai, go for this super heavy dive comp, it could work out quite well.
Certainly could. Jinx here to answer the Zeri, which relatively standard long range versus short range here. And FPX, we'll see where they go next in terms of that jungle pick, because obviously the Hecarim being banned. Like you said, the Diana could be an option. This Viego has been hovered a lot by FPX. I'm looking towards IG though, and already with the Zeri locked in, I'd love to see them go for another one of these really short range brawl comps that we've got to see from them against top esports. Things like the Galio and the Kindred being locked in that series.
Yeah, Rise kind of fitting that style as well. And personally, I think going for something like the Volibear again here for Shun may not be the worst idea. I really think Diana's underutilized in the LPL, but especially when you're up against the Viego, someone who can, I suppose, go for some of these fades into the enemy jungle, but traditionally Diana can kind of do okay against this. But looks like IG will just kind of, again, kind of leave Shun out on an island, which I don't know if it's the best bet with this many jungle already taken away. Like, you take the Diana, you take away the Volibear and FPX side, I'm not really sure where Shun goes to.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe something like an Olaf could come on through. I mean, I mean, Kindred as well, I guess. But again, we're kind of talking about off-meta picks. We're talking about things that really are not standard. So, I don't know. IG obviously have a plan as prioritizing that Gnar, but the Galio being taken away by FPX this time. That'll be Care taking it to the mid lane. Trying to answer some of the roaming ability that Yuekai brings to the table with that Rise. And the Kindred that we talked about has now been banned away from Shun. If they ban that Diana, then it gets real funky. That's when I have no idea what direction
I think it's still the Volibear is probably the way they're going to go. And I like the Kindred ban. I think for IG here, if you're trying to like play against what FPX have, things that can like stop the Viego from resetting, Care not really been able to utilize the fact that he's got this big AoE ult, and would work out super well. Plus, you've got a ton of pushing lanes for IG. So this is where I think, you know, Diana could work well if you want to, but teams tend to stray away from the double AP big jungle, especially against the Galio. It just ends up super strong. So there's the Volibear ban. Now the question is, what do you... Because maybe Shun goes back towards something like the Rek'Sai or something along these lines that we've seen before, but Trundle may be an option as well. It just doesn't really fit with the style that IG have here. Like, this is a short range jump, everyone jump in at the same time. So maybe Rek'Sai is your best option.
I mean, even things like the Diana, right? Like against the Galio, I feel like Galio is the perfect pick against Diana.
Oh, Jarvan.
Just give everyone the magic shield. Yeah, Jarvan could work potentially. Certainly a lot of cleave with Shun and Zika. You know, Zika will go for the Titanic Hydra. So if you can group everyone up, could be an option for them. We'll have to wait and see in terms of that jungle pick. Over to FPX, though, looking to blind pick top lane here and go for a counter pick in support.
I'd be surprised. I feel like this is just a hover. I think you do take this. Oh, hey, yeah, just gonna take the Fiora. I was gonna say, like, I feel like kind of committing this heavily to your split push off rip means you've got a little bit of an information gap here for IG, so they can just go towards the Dan if they want to here, go full dive, but I'd actually prefer to see them maybe take something like the Rek'Sai, like go, hey, we're going to win out in the early 2v2s, both in the solo lanes, and then we can try and just utilize that fact to, hey, play through sides, but, or sorry, to deny you access to playing through sides. The Diana takes a little bit of time to get rolling, which gives Clid a little bit of time to try and access these lanes, try and make plays, or at least, like, try and get control of the map, which is what this FPX composition really wants to do.
And perhaps post level 6 looking tracking. I don't know why I said post, so strange. It's very posh. Post level 6, maybe that's something IG could do. They certainly have a decent bit of a wombo combo going, but yeah, in the early game, I feel like map control could well go the way of FPX. There's Hung hovering a few different picks. The Tahm Kench has been very standard alongside this Jinx, but I wouldn't mind the Alistar that he hovered. Bit more aggression, bit more ability to cause a ruckus in these fights, and it can set up very well for that Galio.
A ton of disengage, which I like as well. The opportunity to, as you say, like Diana, Gnar try to dive in, there's a pulverize. You end up trying to find like Gnar getting this big flank off, you try and headbutt him away. Like, you've got a lot of options to try and keep your backline safe. And that's not only including the fact you've got the Galio there. So I think for FPX's side, like, the 4-man unit from jungle down does have good answers for what IG are trying to do. It would just be a case of if xiaolaohu can get far enough ahead in the early stages to actually take over in that side lane, deny Zika the opportunity to join in these fights. And that's what I'd be keeping my eyes on.
Yeah, I'm really curious about this game now. I feel like a lot of ability to sort of roam around the map here from both mid laners, and I feel like there's a lot of power there in how the rest of the team has to play and how these junglers will play as well. Once again, we kind of go back to the conversation we had in game number 1, is how well are these mid junglers going to link up? Because like you said, Shun make an impact in the mid game early on, managing to get that gank for Yuekai, but we didn't really see that much of it beyond that, especially around the neutrals. He wasn't really linking up with the rest of his squad. I feel like if they can improve on that, I actually have a decent enough comp to look a lot better here for game number 2.
Yeah, my biggest worry is just the double AP mid jungle makes it super easy for the Galio. Get those early Merc threads, start to look for an early Banshee's Veil. You just don't really then have the damage to get through Galio, and it becomes a mega tank very, very quickly. Even you look at Clit as well, I wouldn't be surprised to see early Merc threads. You just get so much value, both from like the magic resist you get, the tenacity that you're going to get against like Leona, Ryze, Gnar as well. Like, it all kind of works out pretty nicely when you try to build towards that. You don't have to push, at least in the early stages though, for the Galio to start making plays. He's definitely more of a, hey, I'm going to try and counteract Ryze as he looks for roams. And I think if I'm IG, my best place to try and set those roams up is down towards the bot side. See if you can get Wink an early lead, but also just maybe even helping at Zika against xiaolaohu.
3-man invade up on this top side as Zika backs away, and you saw the percentages between this Gnar and Fiora as the game started. I was just having a look at some solo queue win rates between the Gnar and the Fiora. The higher elo you go, the worse the win rate gets for Gnar. I think that this is one of those matchups where if you've got the skill on Fiora, and we know xiaolaohu does, you can dominate.
Yeah, a huge amount of that is like playing correctly around the vitals as they spawn. Like being able to just get that quick trade, back it up, and playing around like just reaction speed for the likes of the wall up if Zika's trying to trade. And xiaolaohu can make it like quite difficult for Zika to really get good timing windows to trade in the Mega Gnar form, just because again, like, you can't really use the wall up. Zika, yes, you can go and like toss the boulder, but you've got the opportunity as xiaolaohu to try and dodge away from that as well with your own Q. So it all gets a little bit funky for Gnar, as xiaolaohu already getting that good position.
Yeah, already starting to get those trades off. Has the Conqueror as well for being able to win out in the longer trades as opposed to just going for the grasp that we sometimes see on that Fiora. Wanting to get aggressive. Zika as well, just gonna have the fleet footwork, right? He needs the sustain. He needs to just survive in this matchup. Does not want to be too aggressive. LWX getting attacked, but Hung immediately just headbutt Swink away and makes sure LWX is okay.
Yeah, that's basically this matchup in a nutshell. Lucas goes in, Hung goes aggressive onto the other AD carry, and you kind of just trade tip for tat on both sides. So there's not a huge amount you can really do as Air could trade onto Yuekai. But yeah, there's not, like, realistically, there's not going to be a huge amount of pressure down the spot side. It's going to be a fairly boring matchup. The solo lanes are actually where a lot of our attention is going to be in the early stages. Shun going to be taking a back foot to level 6, but I definitely want to see what Clit can do in these early stages, especially maybe even like with Care running the early Predator, even going at boots of speed to start things off. Can he get that flash target?
That'll be the big question, whether or not they can close the gap onto Yuekai and make those plays happen. But Clit with the top side, at least for the time being, maybe could hover on that top lane just to make sure that the wave will be crashed in. But realistically, Shun on the top side of the map, he's going for that full clear. As you expect with the Diana, like, it's very rare that we see anything other than a full clear from Diana.
Yeah, you just want to hit that level 6 soon as. Clit gonna respond though and kind of do his own. We'll move into opposite sides to get those scuttles. Again, I want to see Clit making plays happen though. Like, yes, you were on a Viego, but you really do want to make sure that you're getting your lanes in order. You are a 1-3-1 comp. If you fall behind, you're not really going to have a good time. And if you're not kind of making these plays early to set yourselves up, it becomes very easy for IG to play through neutrals and set you up.
Certainly could. We'll see if Clit is going to be proactive on this Viego. Hovering on that top side, just finished his Scuttle Crab and now moving in for a bit of vision by the looks of things into the IG jungle. But so far, relatively slow one. But this is what we saw in game number 1 as well. Off the start of the game, it was very quiet until we got to see some of the neutral objectives really kicking off. We saw the one gank onto Yuekai coming out from Shun early on in the game on the Volibear. But beyond that, it was all about the Herald and the early dragons that really caused any action. So that first dragon up in 50 seconds. I'm not sure we're even going to see any action for that one. I feel like Clid should just have the advantage.
Well, I think the mid push is going to be hard for Clid to kind of play off of to get Dragon. So I think this is why we're seeing him kind of move down to this bot side. Maybe considering, hey, look, if I can make this play bot, we can get push, and then I can lean into Dragon with play bot pressure.
Really nice play with the very edge vision from Clid. Flashes forward to find the stun onto Lucas. That's a CC chain. But in the meantime, Wink is just hammering away. It's somehow a 1-for-1, and Wink got the first blood.
They jumped onto Lucas. Like, level 4 Leona has 2 spots in that W. It's so hard to kill her. And now Shun gonna respond on top side.
Try and make a dive happen. xiaolaohu, the target. Riposte available here, or maybe not, actually. Damage coming on through. Shun have to stank up for a little bit. Now they can rinse and repeat. xiaolaohu hitting level 5. He's just going for Shun. Forces a flash out here. Now Zika trying to make it happen himself, but it's not happening at all. xiaolaohu actually winning. Now looking for a little bit more. xiaolaohu's gone completely crazy. The riposte now flashes away. Hung moving on over. It's Zika. Half HP right now. Hung wants a 2v1. Care charging on up. It's a complete fiesta here. It's Yuekai and Care 1v1ing in the river here. Care dashes on out. I can't believe nobody died.
I can't believe xiaolaohu gave up that massive wave in top to try and make that play happen. Because he just lost about 6 CS to that tower, a bunch of experience, and that's going to come back to haunt him. Clid, though, because of the nuttery that's going on the top side, has managed to get himself a dragon, knowing that Yuekai, Shun, Zika, the whole works are no longer on this bottom side. Here, though, we're going to get a replay of this bot lane play. This is a combo that you see an awful lot in this bot lane with the Alistar, but the miss on the snare from LWX means that Wink is just are in a really good position to just continue to wail away on the Alistar. And Alistar, when you're not running Aftershock, is actually quite squishy. He doesn't have a huge amount of resistance. Right? Yeah, and you rely a lot on that Aftershock to actually give you those resistances you need, and when you don't have that level 6, so you can see it there.
Oh, I saw xiaolaohu attacking Zika. I saw him level 6. I was like, oh no, that's a dead Yordle, but not at least for the time being. Hung takes a zap here, gets a bit of a slow onto him. A couple more shots from the burst fire there. And I feel like we kind of need to have a bit of a recap of what on earth has happened so far this game, because we are dead even in gold of both AD carries, grabbing themselves a kill off the back of this one. As you said, though, up in that top side, I feel like the CS lead could be a bigger lead here for xiaolaohu off of the matchup alone, but thanks to that early weird scrap in the river that we saw, Zerka managing to keep it relatively even so far. So nicely played by Zerka, and also a little bit of a misplay from xiaolaohu up on that top side. Is LWX actually going to take away this blue buff, as Clid is taking the enemy blue before is he? A little boomerang comes on through. Zerka will be very happy with that one.
Yeah, Clid watching in horror as he realizes, I have no smite, I have no chance, and Zika will get it. May just give a bit of a target onto the back of Zika, though, because you see xiaolaohu really starting to deal a lot of damage in this topside matchup. Riposte there as well, as we said, to kind of like get away from a lot of the wallops and that. And even Clid, as you see, his camps, they're respawning on this topside, so may get a play, but it looks like IG trying to respond with this, having Yuekai's presence in the mid lane. They want to try and invade onto this topside.
Yeah, he gets caught by a rune prism, but Justice Punch keeps him safe, at least for the time being. Remember, Yuekai can use that ulti to move up to the top side, and if he sends Shun on the ulti, well, that's real scary for xiaolaohu. It's going to be all about the riposte in that situation. Clid is up on the top side as well, though, as Shun has started this Rift Herald off for himself. Clid trying to move in alongside Care here. Spot out these couple of wards, should be able to clear that vision away, and potentially contest. Now you can see IG's bot lane moving on over. Zika about to turn into Mininon. Not the greatest time to fight for IG, but luckily for them, there won't be a fight. Yeah,
I mean, xiaolaohu just doesn't have the power to play these skirmishes. He really just wants to be in the B1 and Zika, even in the minion arm form, he can just play at range, kite back. It makes it very difficult for the 3 melees of FPX to deal with. Yuekai walks in though.
Predator popped as well by Care. Yuekai, I think, should just be taunted up and killed off here. The flash comes through, but a little bit too late on that one. And I mean, honestly, that's a bit of a free pick for FPX.
Yeah, I mean, I just laughed at Clint, who's like, I want the soul, give me the soul, I want to be Rise. But yeah, I mean, Yuekai is completely caught out. No need to be there, and ends up giving his life for it. Now Zika once more kind of putting a bit of pressure onto his top side. Clint, though, is in the area, and honestly, I think he could just run onto Zika up here, especially with Yuekai caught out.
Moving on up. Zika very, very far up this lane, trying to crash that wave, and he will be able to crash it, but at what cost? In comes the jungler xiaolaohu, no interest whatsoever in this play. He missed the wave once this game for a play from his team. Never again, says xiaolaohu. Yeah. Just sits under his tower.
Yeah, he's just like, hey, look, you know, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, not gonna happen. Again, I think this is the correct call for xiaolaohu. I mean, look, just picking up that wave without being harassed by Zika gives him such a massive CS lead here. Going to be able to back. He's going to work up, I imagine, towards... Well, I got to actually wait and see, because in my head, I wouldn't mind seeing the Triforce. I think just playing full split push is probably your best bet. Movement speed helps you chase down Zika. But it looks like he might actually be going for the Divine Sunder. We'll have to wait and see. Oh, no, actually, that's going to be... Yeah, it'll be the Triforce, so... Yeah, I think this is the best bet. You're not trying to play for team fights where the Divine Sunder will give you a little bit more HP, a little bit more of the healing properties that you can actually play for these fights. You are just trying to fully commit to side lane here, Zach.
Yeah, Herald could be dropped down in the mid lane by IG here, which will just be a couple of plates given over to Yuekai, assuming he can stay close enough, which he might not be able to. There's a taunt coming out with the Predator. Knock up there as well. Yuekai does not get to move. Shun used his ulti to basically no effect. And now xiaolaohu, who flashed it over the wall, gets the healing down for the rest of his squad as well. Wink flashes away to safety as Lucas also getting over a wall himself. But there's a zap onto Wink. A flash forwards as the taunt will land. Wink is caught up. There's the follow-up CC and a kill for Cleared. And out of nowhere, FPX on the map.
And that's exactly what FPX needed. Again, they are the ones that want to snowball this game. They are the ones that want to try and play it through side lanes. What's the best way to do that? Find these picks. Play through Care having this Predator in the mid lane. And now you're getting dragons for yourself. This makes it so much easier come those later game neutral fights to just completely ignore your bottom half of the map and continue to play through Care. Play through xiaolaohu in these side lanes.
1,000 gold lead for FPX. 2 Drakes on the board as well. And this felt like a very quick decision coming out from FPX onto Yuekai.
Yeah, xiaolaohu does this a lot. I really like this from top laners who are like, hey, look, I've got a bit of time. Let's see if I can try and make these picks happen in the mid lane. I mean, he ends up being rewarded for it massively here, getting a ton of gold in FPX's favor. Bottom left corner as well. One more pick going in their favor as well.
Oh, my goodness. Well, IG, they're out of playoffs, and I think it's all got a bit disastrous ever since. 6-1 right now. 1,500 almost gold lead in favor of FPX, and xiaolaohu 2 games in a row completely dominating this top lane matchup, right? Being able to leave the lane this time on Fiora, not a champion that you really think of for leaving the lane either, but managing to influence the rest of the map. Happy to sacrifice that CS to be a part of the team play. Clid having a much better game than game number 1 as well.
Yeah, I mean, xiaolaohu, as we said, I've been really impressed with. And honestly, I've been kind of disappointed with Zika. I thought when he came in, he looked really, really good. The guy was kind of making a ton of plays where I was like, right, you know, he understands how to play side lanes really well. He's getting solo kills. He was absolutely destroying Rich in his like second series. I was like, this is it. This is, or at least in game 1 of that series against V5. But then kind of game 2, game 3, it felt like V5 had figured them out. And from that point forward, it felt like a lot of teams went, oh, that's how you control Zika. And then from that point forward, he never really got to have that same kind of leisurely stroll through the top lane as he had been. And it's just been the slow decline of IG as a result.
Yeah, it's been sort of sad to watch. And also Yuekai, I feel like, comparatively to that series we saw against Top Esports, feels like a different player right now as Yuekai 0-2 in this game, in this Rise. Not able to have the same level of impact. Shun spotted on a ward, cleared, is here. Care has his ultimate available, but Shun will just back away, doesn't try and contest the ward, accepts that he has to back away from that one. And with Yuekai's help, maybe can move in to remove it, but I think they might just back away entirely.
Yeah, I mean, look, for Yuekai, I'm not as surprised. Oh, actually, no, Lucas not going to be able to connect. That he's kind of struggling. Yuekai, even when he was on RNG, wasn't the strongest laner. When we saw him on IG, wasn't the strongest laner. What was his strength was playing these champions that would roam out on the map, get control, and actually, like, put pressure onto the enemy. He'd happily give up a wave. He was very Cryon-esque in that. Like, give up a wave so then he could actually, like, go and influence the map. This series, though, Yuekai has been stuck to mid lane. Even in the Ari game, where we saw him get some early pressure, not really moving around. Now in the Rise as well, I haven't seen a Realm Warp this game really move around at all. And FPX, as a result, have kind of been like, cool, well, if you're not going to leave mid, we're just going to put that pressure into the mid lane and prevent that even further. And now Yuekai is, say, 0-2, no pressure on the map. It's a 6 kill to 1 for FPX. And they can just move over towards this Rift Child now if they want to.
Well, it's going to be IG to start this one off, at least. And LWX actually in the bottom lane right now. So IG, with 5 members, will be able to finish this Herald off, but at what cost, Dagda? Because the tower's already gone down in the bottom side. You can see the wave crashing in that mid lane as well. So FPX, they're like, well, we'll just take all of your bottom lane camps. We'll take the bot tier 1 as well. And now LWX actually hammering away onto that bottom tier 2 for a little bit. I don't think he'll finish the tower off, but even still, doesn't feel like a massively positive trade for IG.
Yeah, I mean, LWX will actually finish this. I'm wondering if Zika will commit.
I'm wondering if Zika can win that 1v1, honestly. LWX already has the Kraken Slayer. Like, without Mega now, that could be difficult. xiaolaohu in a 2v1 up on the top side of the map. But he'll get out with his life. Doesn't even have to flash.
Yeah, that riposte was crucial. Actually manages to pick Shun with the riposte. So it means that Shun can follow up onto the engage from Lucas. So then able to just dash away now mid.
Yuekai flashes the Everfrost, will keep himself safe. Dragon up in 45 seconds though, Dagda. And it feels like with FPX, I mean, they're in complete control. They're almost 3,000 gold up. This doesn't feel contestable for the side of IG, and that's dangerous with a Hextech Soul.
So the only thing I will say is the one way I see IG getting back into this game is through a big team. Like one massive wombo with Shun, Zika, AoE damage from Yuekai, cleave from Wink. Like that feels to me like how IG can bring it back. So for me, I just think for FPX, why give them that opportunity? Like, you have a tower on top lane, you can just take your 2 towers up in the lead, just continue to play through your side lane and not really give that moment. As you can see, like, IG, they have control of River here. It just seems like a bad idea to try and contest this.
IG gonna go for it anyway here. Starting things off. Cleared. I mean, we saw how trigger happy he was on trying to steal Drakes in game number 1. He's not gonna go for any kind of flash ult smite shenanigans this time. Hung, though, is willing to make a play. Here we go. The flanks coming through with the Hex Gates. The rest of the team already engaged in a 3v5. Now Hung arrives. Double knuckle comes out from him. And FPX, they've got this one unlocked. LWX not contested for a singular moment of this fight. There's a double for him on the Jinx. Turn it into 3 as xiaolaohu got the double as well. And FPX, I mean, it's too early for Baron.
Yeah, I mean, FPX absolutely slaughtered them. I was worried, IG, when you had that 3 versus 5 at the begin with, maybe they could turn it around, but IG just never able to get their team fight together, and FPX take the fight, they take the dragon, and then they don't take the dragon, sorry, but they'll take this mid lane turn.
Yeah, we're starting to get to the point where for IG, you need to be spamming some 5s in chat once again, because it is all tears right now. IG knocked out of playoffs in game number 1, and now game number 2, 11-1, 7,000 gold lead with 17 minutes in, Dagda.
Yeah, and we'll see it here. IG kind of get caught all over the place. I feel like in this position, through care, fight onto LWX. Zika's about to turn Mega, but just barely gets the chance. But IG, like it's super messy. Like no one's kind of going forward. Everyone is trying to commit to the Galio, but Galio's not really your problem here. I think if you pick off xiaolaohu and Quid just off of Zika turning Mega, I think you can run away from the IG flank and actually still turn that fight.
Yeah, perhaps. If you can position slightly better, if you can target select a little bit. Target select? If you can choose better targets. English. It's not my strong suit. It's actually my my second language. My first is complete nonsense. It's going to be a smite coming out from Clid as he takes away the blue buff, just denying absolutely everything he can. And every single time the camera pans over IG's jungle this game, it feels like we're looking at Clid in IG's jungle.
Really does. And I think that says a lot about how much control FPX has on the map. And that's exactly what we said at the start of the day. Like, for this 1-3-1, control of the map is what FPX need. And you see vision control up here. They're actually working off of LWX as the split pusher, which wasn't the way that I expected to go. But when this Jinx is nearing her third item, she's going to get through towers faster than xiaolaohu or Care can.
That is for sure. There's another tier 2 going down here. That's the 5th tower. We're only 19 minutes in. FPX just incomplete and utter control of this one. Another Drake coming up in 2.5 minutes. Remember, IG did manage to get that third Drake. Obviously, getting that before the fight actually kicked off. So, at least the soul won't be a concern for another 10 minutes for IG. So, you know, silver linings. But it really is just that. Silver linings at this point. That's all they can look for. However, in 20 seconds, Dagda, Baron is going to be on the map. And we all know that FPX, they just can't help themselves. They just love that Baron. So there's always a chance.
Hey, last game they got the kills beforehand, so maybe that's what FPX are trying to go for here again. And honestly, like, I'm talking about the split push, but how far ahead FPX are at this stage, I don't think the split push really matters. Like, you've got a 3-item Jinx at 20 minutes into the game. What do you do as Wing? You haven't even completed your second.
Yeah. You don't really get to do that kind of level of damage as Clid. Once again, the camera pans over IG's jungle, and we're looking at Clid invading once more. Shun gonna try and contest, but with Hung there, I'm not sure that's even doable. Smite available for Clid to finish that Gromp off. And again, the Baron is on the map right now. You can see xiaolaohu on the bottom side of the map here. As IG would love to contest, they'd love to get vision, but it's going to be a challenge for them. And the thing is, last game, you know, we saw FPX go for a fight before that Baron. But I do want to add the context that realistically that was Shun getting caught out as opposed to FPX setting up the pick. So, you know, it sort of swings and roundabouts, I guess. But whether or not that was FPX decision-making is a different question.
Could say he shouldn't have done that. But,
you could, or you could not say that, Dagda. Hey? Do you ever think about not saying that?
No, never. Look, if I have to put up with it in my head, you have to put up with it as well, all right? As FPX, 20 seconds until the next dragon. Resetting now to make sure they can get control. xiaolaohu has push on bot. Hair already moved into this top side. It's sad that this is the way that IG go. It felt like they had it all coming together. Like, even with Mo coming in, I had such high hopes for IG. I thought, like, my thought with Mo was, hey, we're just going to have him played for Zika in the same way that IG have already been doing. Except you just have a better lane. Like, Mo is a much better laner than Yuekai. But even the fact that Yuekai is back in now, and you can still see he's struggling with the lane phase, it's just so hard. It's really sad to see IG kind of, when they started to get the pieces together, and then collapsing.
Yeah. I mean, I was hoping we'd see them go down in a blaze of glory, you know. And that is still possible. But the only blaze that seems to be going on right now is that the entire team is on fire. And not in the good way either. It's a bit of a disaster for IG to finish the split out. But, I mean, it's actually not finishing the split out. We've still got some series to go after this one. And they're not easy series either. That's going to be brutal. But FPX now maintain control of this Baron area. And they're just very... honestly, I'm kind of impressed. This is the first time we've ever seen FPX play carefully around Baron.
Oh, here it is.
Well, no, this is fine. This is fine. They have vision control. As long as they peel off and fight IG if the contest comes through, I don't have an issue with them starting the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way of getting here. That, though, xiaolaohu is a little bit questionable.
Oh, Hung, the 4-man knockup. Beautifully done. xiaolaohu exhausted over the wall, though. Does make it a little bit difficult for him, but there's just no damage. Shun gets the moonfall, and it does absolutely nothing. Another double comes through for xiaolaohu, as IG will fall here. And it's just... oh, wow. There's actually a flank from the Hex Gates as well. Everybody's here. I don't know where they came from. As, an attempted dart comes out from Zika, but will not find its mark. And Dagda, this one, a little bit tragic, it has to be said, but not if you're a fan of FPX. managing to make it happen. Care at the Galio as well, having a really good game for himself after we criticized him to start the day. This pick definitely working out, the comp working out. 16-1, a victory lap for FPX as they manage to take themselves to series.
That for FPX is going to be it. Really well orchestrated from them from start to finish. And as we said for that, I mean, IG now out. FPX still with the potential to hit that top 6. I mean, it's a long road for them to get there. It's not exactly the most likely, but I mean, there's still a lot of there for FPX as they keep the playoffs pushing.
Yeah, they'll be 7-7 on the scoreboard right now. It is possible for them to get all the way up to 9 wins and make it into the top 6. They do rely on other teams' scores as well, though. So whether or not they'll get top 6 is not entirely within their control, but getting playoffs absolutely is. I'm pretty sure just a singular extra win, if either BLG or OMG loses one more game, a singular win will be enough. I would imagine 8 wins will be enough to make playoffs. They're on 7 right now, so FPX on the cusp of locking that in for themselves. Very nicely done. And LWX in these fights, I mean, obviously, great damage. I feel like he was never contested. I feel like nobody even looked at LWX in any of those fights.
No. And just to finish off the FPX conversation, the next series is against OMG. This is a team now that really does have the future of their playoffs in the hand. They beat OMG 3-3. So I'm really excited to see how that, or well, not their next series, but when that series does happen, that seems to be the decider for it. But we'll have to see how that one's going to go. Coming into this one, though, as I said, LWX completely untouched. xiaolaohu didn't really see this Fiora pop off in the manner that we were hoping for. It kind of got a little bit of pressure in the early stages and didn't really get the ball rolling. But, I mean, the rest of the map for FPX was absolutely dominating IG. So it really didn't matter. LWX was taking every tower that existed, was getting so damn fed, and you can see it with the damage there. Nearly 15,000 damage. And this was in a 24-minute game.
Yeah, kind of brutal, honestly, from FPX. Like, that's a fast win. That is a dominant win. And IG, I mean, I don't blame the players. Like, after your playoff streams are eliminated in game number 1, I feel like it's going to be difficult to keep that momentum going for game number 2. And kind of a sad game to end their split on. But either way, still, I think this IG roster, like, if we kind of have a little bit of a post-mortem for them from this split, I do think there are big positives to take away, right? The series against Top Esports, like, I think they looked absolutely fantastic. Yuekai has clearly shown that he has a very high ceiling in the right situations. Shun has had some amazing games. Like you said, Zika earlier on in the split had some really, really exceptional games, but since that point, seems like he fell off a little bit. Like, there are positives about this IG roster, but it does feel like, once again, like, these rookie squads for IG struggling to quite mesh together in the right way.
Yeah, I think there's kind of a couple of different issues for IG. One is just kind of the revolving door on bot lane. Wink does have the best laning phase out of On and xiaolaohu, but the biggest issue for him is just like overextending in the mid game and getting caught out, not really having the conscious setup in his mind of like, what is the map state like? Am I actually okay to be here? As well, when you look towards their kind of ability to play the mid game, I think Shun has been an excellent jungler. I actually think Shun's kind of been a bit of the overachiever on this team, but it just felt a little bit unfortunate that, like, in this series he got caught out several times. Zika not really sure how he's supposed to team fight, and that coordination in team fights isn't quite there. And I think Lucas as well has been pretty good, but it just meant that, like, when you've got like Wink, who's a little bit strange, Zika's a little bit strange for your team fights, and even Yuekai having a wobbly laning phase at best most of the time, it just is very hard to get the pieces together for IG to be able to carry it forward.
It feels like, you know, this mid jungle from Yuekai and Shun, if they were playing Magma Chamber, amazing. If it was just fighting and just mechanics, great stuff. But playing the map, playing for neutral objectives, playing for getting into those sidelines, leaving a lot to be desired. It feels like maybe a shot calling issue on this IG roster, honestly, or at least coordination issues. Not the same to be said, though, for the side of FPX, as Care going to be our MVP, and that's a fantastic thing to say, right? That's a fantastic feeling getting to say Care gets the MVP, because he was one of the players we were criticizing at the start of the day, saying that they're struggling to fill the hole that DoB left.
Big time. It feels like for for FPX, it's trying to figure out how they can actually get the same level of like dives and early game prowess that they had with Doom being the mid lane. Hasn't really been that successful so far, but you can see in this game that, hey, they're starting to get that understanding again. Mid, playing through Care in this mid lane, they had the Predator Galio set up, and Care, honestly, like his team fighting here was actually really good. Good understanding of like where he can find these flanks, good positioning, and kind of setting up these fights successfully for FPX. And even with the picks that we saw in the early stages, a lot of that being orchestrated around Care. So hopefully the FPX plays rookie will be able to find more successes like this. Certainly seems to like his melee champions, like we've seen him on the Akali, Silas, now the Galio as well. Seems much more at home on these types of things.
Yeah, Vex, which arguably not far off of melee in a lot of situations as well. So I could sort of make a vague argument for that. But yeah, Care having a great series for himself on this Galio. I love the Hexgate flank at the end there as well. Very nicely done. But good to see from FPX, and maybe it's enough for them to make playoffs. We'll have to wait and see over the rest of week number 9. But next up, we've got an even more important series coming your way. EDG versus LNG. At the start of this split, many people were power ranking either of these teams in first place. Now, fighting for seeding in playoffs, not managing to live up to those expectations, and we'll see which team will be on better form right after the break.